Good day and welcome to this amazing session. My name is Priscilla and I'll be your host for today. Just to do a bit of housekeeping, I see a couple of us here on the call. So I see Bill, I see Emmanuel, I see Lawrence, I see Damilola, I see Oyeyemi, and I see V. So if you can hear me, please leave a yes in the chat so I know that you're present with me and we can get started with the session. So if you can hear me, just leave a yes in the chat. Okay. Thank you so much, Damilola. Thank you, Lawrence. All right. So welcome to this fantastic session. Okay. I know we're all here for DevOps and we're going to get started in a bit, but just so that we get to meet each other, just leave your name in the chat as well as where you're joining from. So you could just be like Priscilla from Zimbabwe, or just leave your name as well as where you're joining from. Somebody could just meet their colleague on the call. Okay, so just leave your name as well as where you're joining from right there in the chat. Okay, it's going to be a pretty interesting session. So just keep it coming. Damilola from Nigeria, good to have you here. Uh, keep the responses coming, your name and where you're joining from. Okay, so just leave that in the chat. I've got a couple of us, and I would wait for all of your responses because I need you to be here in this session. Okay, so Lawrence from Nigeria, Shegun from Lagos, Nigeria. We've got a couple of people from Nigeria. So how about you, V? Okay, Bill, V, Lawrence, where are you joining us from? Just leave that there in the chat. Okay. I'll be looking forward to your response. And while I'm looking forward to your responses, we're just going to kickstart the session for today. So today we'll be talking about something really interesting, which is building your first complete pipeline for deploying applications as a DevOps engineer. So we're all here for DevOps engineering, right? We're all here to learn how we can build our first complete pipeline for deploying applications. But basically, we need to start from the very beginning, which is, who is Tenalytics, basically. This session is brought to you by Tenalytics, and you want to understand completely what we do so you're able to trust us to deliver this session, with maximum benefits to you. Now, at Tenalytics, it's really simple. We're an edtech firm. And if you know what edtechs do, they bring learning to your doorstep. Okay. So we've been doing this for a couple of years, training people, helping people get into tech, helping people build relevant skills. All right. Doing this for over 4 years. Last year we became five, and we've helped over 3,500 plus people transition from the classroom into their first job in tech. I need you to just flow with me while I'm speaking, okay? So these people, they were complete beginners. For some of us here, we're just like them, complete beginners. And imagine moving from being a complete beginner in tech to getting your first job. Okay, this is what we do here at Analytics, okay, to help you transition seamlessly. And we have a lot of participants across the UK, US, Canada, Europe, Africa, and Asia. Our commitment is keen. Our commitment is direct to make the technology sector more accessible through experiential training in DevOps engineering, which is why we're here, right? And as well as data analytics, business analysis, and a couple of other sessions. All right. Now, we've made sure that the people teaching you are people with wealth of knowledge and experience, just the same way you'll get to see today. All right. So our team of instructors are from leading global companies like Apple, Microsoft, McKinsey, and what they do is to bring a wealth of real world experience. So you're literally picking their brain, and this is just to ensure that you get maximum value, from your investment. Because deciding to pivot into DevOps engineering is an investment in your future, and our job is to ensure that you get the maximum benefits. All right, now. Always Priscilla. I'm basically hosting the session today, and just a bit of introduction about myself. All right, so I'm a passionate educator. I like to teach. I'm also a data expert and career strategist with, over half a decade years of experience in the world of blockchain technology, and data analytics. Currently, I'm a growth catalyst at Analytics. And what I do is to help you decide if DevOps engineering or to help you see that DevOps engineering is the absolute right career path for you. So my expertise spans across being a freelance data analyst, a crypto educator, a technical support personnel, as well as a tech career coach. Okay, so alongside me, I've got my colleague here on the call today, our fantastic resource person, Felix Omachonu. Okay, so Felix is a DevOps engineer as well as an infrastructure automation specialist. Okay, so he's got 4+ years of experience in DevOps engineering, cloud infrastructure, and technical training. Okay, he also has an expertise in building automated CI/CD pipelines, which is one of the reasons why we're here today, container orchestration, and cloud native solutions for production environments. Currently, he's a DevOps engineer as well as an instructor at Analytics. Imagine this fantastic person, coming to teach you. So you literally pick Felix's brain today, right? You literally learn almost everything he knows about CI/CD. Okay, and basically, why are we here today? That being said about myself and Felix, why are we here today? What are we going to do today? So the first thing we'll do will be, to learn how to build your first complete pipeline for deploying applications as a DevOps engineer. Okay, so we're not just going to delve into that. You're going to see and understand what it means to be a DevOps engineer before we teach you how to build your first pipeline for deploying applications. Thereafter, I would also teach you and bring you up to speed when it comes to what you need to learn to get a job as a DevOps engineer. Because I want to believe that the major reason you're here today is to learn how to build this pipeline. And for some of us that are really interested in pivoting into being DevOps engineer, you also need to learn, what are the skills you need to learn so that you get a job. The end goal, I like to believe, is for you to get a job, and you get to learn how you go about that today. Both the technical skills that you need as well as, the employability skills. And then, for all of us joining this session today, I've got a special offer for you. Okay, so you are definitely, with this special offer, going to become the next success story here at Analytics. So that being said, we're going to kickstart this session properly. Okay, I need you to sit back, relax, just listen through it all. It's going to be a practical session, really, really insightful. You also want to get your notepad and pen so that you're able to take down some points as we go. So Felix is here and he's just going to pick it up, from this other half of the session. Hi, Felix. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello,
All right.
Priscilla.
Good
Thank
to
you
have
very
you.
much.
Absolutely. Please
Yeah.
go ahead.
All right. So, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session. Yeah. So, like Priscilla already introduced, I'm Felix Amachino, and I'm a DevOps engineer. So not to waste so much time, I would like for us to get right into it. So, but while I'm trying to share my screen, I would like to know, does anyone have any IT experience or does anyone work in the IT field already? I just want to get to know my colleagues, not necessarily DevOps, any field in IT. I do. Okay, okay, okay. Doka says she does. All right. So does anyone else? Okay, Lawrence. Yeah, great. So if you don't mind sharing, please, I would like to know what field in particular you actually work. Sorry, I'm trying to share my screen. That's why I may be distracted. So can you guys see my screen, please? I just want to be sure. If you can see my screen, please just leave a message in the chat. But I'll be bringing up, what we'll be doing today shortly. Okay. So okay, you can. So just Lawrence works in the IT field already. Okay, that's good. So I guess most of us here are new to IT, and trust me, you're in the right place to start. You're definitely in the right place to start because yeah, we take you from the scratch all the way to the top, right? So okay, Lauren said website design, vibe coding, and AI automation. That's really great. That's great, Lawrence. That's really great. It seems like you're close to home already. You're close to home. I see why you are here. You're close to home. So we'll just get right into it. We'll get right into it. Just a minute, please. Yeah, so all right. So I'm going to pick up from where Priscilla stopped and we'll continue from there. So yeah, so now one of the questions you would want to ask when before even deciding to come into this field is who is a DevOps engineer, right? Who is a DevOps engineer? So a DevOps engineer automates software delivery to help organizations deploy applications faster and more reliably, right? So one very great thing about DevOps engineering is that it's pretty new. It's not as old as a lot of other tech skills. It's been, I think since 2008 or 2009, right? So before DevOps, the entire deployment process takes long, takes months. There were so many issues that was faced before DevOps was introduced. So with the advent of DevOps, everything now is automated and, deployment of applications is faster, more secured, and more reliable. They focus on bridging the gap between development, operations teams, ensuring that code moves from development to production smoothly, securely, and efficiently. So in the past, we had developers, we had operations team working separately. They were both working in silos, right? So there was no bridge between. So from development to deployment, it takes time, months, weeks, sometimes even years to get major features across to the consumers. But DevOps came and made all of this much more easy. So key focus areas for DevOps engineers, key focus areas, building and maintaining CI/CD pipeline, infrastructure as code and cloud automation, monitoring application performance and system health, implementing security and compliance in deployment workflow. So these are some of the key focus of DevOps engineers. So today we'll be demonstrating a pipeline deployment. We'll be deploying an application from scratch to production. But we have a case study here that we'll be working on. So a company named TechStack Innovations is a digital content company that provides motivational resources to professionals and students through their web platform, right? The company currently deploys their quote generator application manually, which takes several hours and often results in downtime. Without a DevOps engineer, the development team struggles with slow rollouts of new codes, contents, and features. To modernize their deployment process, TechStart has tasked you to implement a fully automated CI/CD pipeline. So we are putting every one of you in this situation as the DevOps engineers, and you've been tasked to, fix TechStart innovations problem. So they want you to migrate the code generator application to AWS cloud infrastructure. So we'll be working on cloud computing. We'll be taking a look at AWS. Automate deployments using GitHub Actions, which is going to be our CI/CD pipeline. Provision servers using infrastructure as code. And for this practical, we'll be making use of Terraform as our infrastructure as code too. So the key business questions now. Build an automated CI/CD pipeline that eliminates manual deployment and reduces rollout time. Implement infrastructure as code with Terraform to provision AWS EC2 instance, security group and networking. Configure Nginx reverse proxy, implement health checks, and ensure zero downtime deployments for continuous quotes updates. So this is what we'll be solving today. These are what we'll be solving today. So now, what is the end goal of this case study, right? What's the end goal? So we want to provision our infrastructure using infrastructure as code, and we're making use of Terraform. We want to deploy our application via CI/CD pipeline using GitHub Actions. And also, we want to access and monitor our application after deployment is complete. So we'll be deploying our application in this session, and we'll be checking it out in production once the deployment is complete. So you'll be seeing a link in the chat, that will take you to the GitHub repo of this application, and every file is there. I'll be showing you that as well shortly, and you can click this link on this document if you have it, to access it. So now to get started, right? So let's get started with our deployment. So I believe you all can still see my screen. I believe you guys can still see my screen. So to get started with this, now this is our application repo. I'm going to give a bit of explanation on some of the scripts and some of the files that we have here before we proceed with the deployment, right? I'm going to just give a brief, but let's look at our README, because it's important whenever you want to work on any deployment of any application, you need to pay attention to the README, right? The developers usually give hints, or they drop information about the kind of application, and you would have an idea of how to deploy it from the README file. So let's go to our README file and look at what this application is all about and what we need. So this is the architecture of our repository. So if you move down, you will see, so our infrastructure and DevOps. So we are making use of AWS EC2 instance. That will be our virtual server hosting. Or we're making use of Terraform as our infrastructure as code. We're making use of GitHub Actions for our CI/CD automation. And then Nginx is going to serve as our reverse proxy. And for the application, it's written in Node.js, Express.js, vanilla JavaScript, and HTML5 and CSS. So, but as DevOps engineers, we're not going to concern ourselves too much about the application's code, because, we just need to know what language is written in, or what framework, to know what run function we'll be using to configure or to build the application, right? So for our prerequisites, required tools, you need to install Git, you need to install Node.js, you need to install NPM, you need to install Terraform, and then you also need to install AWS CLI. So all of these things would be installed inside our virtual server. But our virtual server, we are configuring it using Terraform. So we need to configure all of these things to be installed inside our Terraform scripts. I'll be showing you guys that shortly. I just want us to go through the README file before we get to that. So the step-by-step guide is already here. So when you have access to this and you want to work on it, or you want to play around with it on your own, you can go ahead. The entire process to do this deployment on your own is already well documented in this README file. So if I should go down, you will see it's quite long. It is very well documented, right? So any one of you can decide to do this at your leisure time. If you want to, experiment before you get into the real thing, just to play around what you have already. Right. So the first thing we'll be looking at, the first script we'll be looking at, is our Terraform script, right? Because the Terraform script is what provisions our infrastructure. So our applications will be deployed on our infrastructure. So we need to look at our Terraform script first. So now let's take a look at that. So we start from our main.tf. Now, what our main.tf does is that it defines the entire server and how it should be configured. So I'm going to highlight a few things for us to see here. So provider is AWS, and then the region is defined in our variables.tf. We'll get to that shortly. And then, so as you can see, our security group is also configured. So I'm sure a lot of us don't know what security group is. So security group is like our security for our server. That is where we configure the ingress and egress file. Like it determines what comes into our server and what goes out of our server. So I can't go too deep into all of these tools because in DevOps, you'll be working with so many tools, right? You'll be working with so many tools. I can't go deep into all of these tools right now. In fact, if I'm going to start explaining on this AWS alone, we would not live here today. So I'm just going to give us, an high level explanation of what this script does, right? So as you can see here, this is our security group. It's configuring our ingress. This is for our SSH because before you can access your cloud server, you need to make use of SSH. SSH is short for secure shell. So your secure shell is what you need to access your cloud server, and it runs on port 22. So to understand what all of this means, you need to also know basics of networking, right? So you need to know basics of networking. So as you can see, as a DevOps engineer, there are so many tools you need to actually know, and here at 10 Analytics would take you all the way from the scratch to the top, and every skill every tool will be covered, right? So that's for SSH. This is for HTTP. To access your application over the internet, you need to configure your HTTP ingress. And HTTP runs on port 80. So port 80 is available. And then this is for HTTPS, the secured version of HTTP, and it runs on port 443. And then our application runs on port 3000. So you need to also expose the ports your application runs on. I know a lot of us might still be confused that you don't really understand what all of this is, but just relax. It will make sense soon enough. It will make sense soon enough, right? So this is where your main.tf file is where you configure your machine. Basically, this is where you configure your machine, right? This is where you configure what you want your machine to do, how you want it to look like. And then we have user data. So our user data is where we install all the applications we want to run on our machine. If you remember in the readme file, some of the prerequisites we saw, we need to install nginx, we need to install git, we need to install node.js, we need to install, there's some things we said we were going to install. So this is where all of those things are installed. Our Terraform file already covered it, right? So normally, if you want to do this, you have to come here to AWS. So this is our AWS dashboard. This is our cloud server. So you would have to come here to AWS and configure it one by one. And then let's say you are trying to do it another time, you come here and do it all over again, which is going to be really stressful, and it is not even advisable, especially for companies that make use of, some companies configure servers about 10, 20, within a week, within a month, depending on the size of the company. So it is not even going to be sustainable to be doing this all the time. But when you have a script that helps you do this, all you need to do is run the script and then boom, your server is already configured. So our Terraform helps us do all of that, right? So now let's take a look at our variables.tf. So our variables.tf, if anyone here understands, a bit of programming language or scripting language, you would know that you don't always specify certain values in your main file. You don't always specify certain values in your main file, right? You need to put them somewhere else where they can be called from the main file. So if you need to edit it, you can easily come here, edit it. And if it's called 100 times in so many places, you just need to edit it once, right? But if you are putting the value directly on, all those 100 places, you have to edit it everywhere, which is also not sustainable. So our variables.tf file is where we have all our variables and the values that we'll be making use of, right? And then we have our output.cf. So at the end of our Terraform script, after we've run our Terraform configuration, after we've applied our Terraform script, we want to see certain information. We would like to see the IP address of our server. We would like to see the DNS of our server. We would like to see the ID of the security group, and we would like to see the URL of our application. So our output.terraform is where all of that is going to be displayed, right? And then we have our terraform.cavars.example. So usually this file is not meant to come on our GitHub repo. It's not meant to be here, but for demonstration's sake is why it's here. So usually this file contains sensitive information sometimes, although in this case it doesn't, but sometimes it does. So it's not meant to be here, but for the sake of this presentation, I decided to push it to our GitHub repo for any of us who would like to work with it, right? So I'm not going to go over our application script. Then I want us to also take a look at our Nginx configuration. So Nginx is a web server, right? It is what helps our system to be able to put our application out there that people can access it through the www World Wide Web, right? So Nginx is a web server. It helps us expose our applications. So it needs to be configured, and because of time, I can't go through every of these scripts right here. I can't go through everything, right? So then we are going to look at our GitHub workflow, right? We are going to look at our GitHub workflow. So our GitHub workflow is our script. This is our CI/CD pipeline, right? So this is the main thing we came for today. This is the main thing we came for. We want to see our CI/CD pipeline. So basically, the two most popular CI/CD pipeline we have is Jenkins and GitHub Actions, right? So I chose to use GitHub Actions for this demonstration because it is quite easier to use since my application is going to be on our GitHub repository. So at the first start of every GitHub Actions, you would have the name of what you want to do. So here we have CI/CD pipeline deploy quote generator, right? So that is what our app is. It's an app where you go and then you generate quotes. The quotes have been saved. So you just go click generate and then a quote will be generated for you. And there are so many steps in our CI/CD pipeline, but unfortunately, I can't go through every one of it. I can't go through every one of it, but I'll just show us the three jobs we have. So the first job is our infrastructure, our Terraform infrastructure. So what this first job does, it runs our Terraform scripts. So job one, the first job here runs our Terraform scripts. That is our main.tf, outputs.tf, variables.tf, and then our terraform.tf as .example. So that is what our first job does, right? So, and then we have job two. So job two is meant to build and test the application. And so our application is right here in public. So it's loading. So we have our app.js, index.html, and styles.css. So our application is right here. So this job two runs our application. And then job three deploys the application through our Nginx server using this configuration here so that it can be accessed over the internet. So that is the three job of our CI/CD pipeline. So as you can see, the script is actually long. Unfortunately, I won't be able to, go through each one of them every step of the way, but we already know what our script is doing. So the first thing it's going to do is that it's going to use our Terraform files to configure our web server. It's going to use our Terraform files to configure our web server on AWS. When we run it, we are going to come here and we will see our web server running here, right? We'll see our web server running here. And then the second thing it's going to do is going to build our application using our npm run. since it's a Node.js application. So as you can see, npm, npm CI, npm test. So for Node.js application, we make use of npm. For Python application, we make use of pip. And then for, other applications have different build value or build configurations it makes use of. So now that we've seen the files we'll be working with, let's demonstrate the deployment. So to deploy this application, I would need to trigger this pipeline, right? I will need to trigger this pipeline and then we will watch it deploy. I will need to trigger this pipeline and then we'll watch it deploy. So to do that, I want to make a commit to our GitHub repo. I want to make a commit to our GitHub repo, right? So let me now let me go to my local. Let me go to my local. Yes, let me go to my local. Sorry, I'm supposed to open. Yes, so now I'm in my local. So I am inside of my this is my local machine and we have our application code in here. I'm going to push our application code from my local machine to my GitHub repo using Git. So yeah, as you can see already, we've already talked about Terraform, we've talked about GitHub. Now we're making use of Git. We've talked about AWS, and there are still so many tools you can make use of in DevOps, right? So, but one thing I want to inform you is that in DevOps, don't focus on the tools. Don't focus on the tools because you might get overwhelmed thinking, how would I learn all of these tools? Just focus on the culture and the workflow, how it works. What should I know as a DevOps engineer? What should I focus on, right? So that's what you should focus on. So now let's push this and demonstrate our pipeline and see it run, and then we'll be able to access it over the internet. So to do that quickly, let's first check, the files we have. So these are all the files. As you can see, these are the same files we have in our GitHub repository, right? So let's make an edit and let's push to our GitHub repo. So let's make an edit to our README. Let's make an edit to our README file, right? So as you can see, this is our README file, the same one we have in our GitHub repo, right? So let's just edit something. So let me just, erase this just to, now save it. And now let's push that. Let's push that. So I'll say git add and then git commit dash m. So all of these are things you are going to learn on this course. So let's commit this, and the our commit message is going to be trigger pipeline. So it's been committed. Now let's push to our remote repository. So we'd say git push origin. So it's going to take a while to push, and it's been pushed to our remote repository. So now let's check it out. Let's check it out. So if we refresh this, it's going to be pushed. Now let's check our pipeline and see. So to check your pipeline, you come to actions. As you can see, it's trigger pipeline. So you see the commit message I added, trigger pipeline. So my trigger pipeline commit message is what is triggering this pipeline right now. So if I click on it, we are going to see the workflow. So as you can see, our first job, which is Terraform infrastructure, is being configured. So as you can see, sorry, just a minute. Creating security group, operation error, is it okay? TPM response status code 400 request ID. Main.terraform Okay, so I think there's been a little change. So just give me a minute to sort this out. Sorry, just give me a minute to sort this out. So to fix this, let's check what the issue is. Main.cf. Sorry, just a minute, just a minute. I'll get this done shortly. Sometimes these scripts can drift and then you will get something else. This scripts can drift and you get something else. So just to fix this, let's try running the previous one that was, that was fully executed. Let's try to trigger this, right? So let's try to trigger this and see this should deploy our pipeline and we should be able to access it over the internet. Okay, it's running. Okay, it seems like I might have changed something and I might need a minute to fix this. So I'm sorry, but Priscilla, please can you quickly just take over for a couple of minutes while I get this fixed and then I come back to complete this entire demonstration, please.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So, guys, while we're waiting for Felix to handle that, I want to know if we're still here, and if we've been getting a thing or two so far. So, if you're still here and you've been getting a thing or two so far, please leave a yes in the chat. So I know that you're still present and, we're still together right here in this session. Please just leave a yes in the chat. You need to gain something from today's session. All right. Like I said, it's gonna be an amazing one. Okay. And you'd also get to learn how you can become a DevOps engineer. So if you've been, gaining something from all of what Felix has been sharing so far, please leave a yes in the chat. I'm gonna call names because I can see our names. So I see Bill. Bill, I don't think I've heard from you in today's session. Please leave a yes if you're still here. All right. Okay. So I also see Bossede. Hi, Bossede. Are you still here? Please leave a yes in the chat. I see Ishmael. If you're still here, please leave a yes in the chat. Then I also see Kalu. Leave a yes in the chat. I see Kovic. I see Ohe Jr. I see Fiona. I see Tolulope and Y. Please, if we're still here, kindly leave a yes in the chat. All right, thank you. So it's just Bill and Kalu. Please, I'm expecting your responses. Okay, please do well to just leave your responses in the chat. Meanwhile, we could do a brief Q&A. So tell me in the chat what you're looking to gain from today's session. Okay, so what are you looking to gain from today's session? Just maybe in one sentence, just leave that in the chat so I know that we get to touch base on every one of our needs on today's session. Okay, so Bill, Kalu, Tolulope, why are you here today? What are you looking to learn? What are you hoping to take from the session today? Okay, so just leave that in the chat so that we get to interact while we're waiting for Felix. Okay, just in one word, it could be one word, one sentence. Why are you here today? All right, so just leave that in the chat. I'm looking forward to your responses. Okay, I'm pretty sure we did not just words into this session. We pretty much had something in mind. Oh, Tolulope said, I just joined, nothing on my mind. So, Tolulope, are you in DevOps already? Are you already a DevOps engineer or you're looking to become a DevOps engineer? Okay, so Bill says, get an overview of what DevOps look like in practice. Okay, so this is an overview, like you've termed it, a summary, because we're unable to go through teaching you how to write the scripts one after the other. But trust me, all of this is what you would learn coming into Analytics. So, Tolulope, are you already in DevOps engineering? Bill, how about you? Are you already a DevOps engineer or you're looking to transition? Okay, I'm a Scrum Master leading DevOps teams. Oh, beautiful. Okay, Bill says no. All right. So, Bill, for you, are you looking to become a DevOps engineer? Right. To look at, I like that you're forward thinking, by the way. You're a Scrum Master leading a DevOps team, and you just need to see, what DevOps looks like so that you get a better idea on how to lead your team. That's so forward thinking and fantastic. Okay. So for Bill, I know that you responded no to my question, of you being a DevOps engineer. So is this something you're looking to transition into? Just leave that in the chat. I also got a couple of people, but I've been chatting with just Bill and Tolulope. I guess I might have something for them at the end of the session. So if you're still here, please respond to my messages so that we get to interact for a bit. What I want you to respond to is, what are you hoping to gain from the session today? And, are you looking to transition into DevOps engineering? Okay, so Abdulaziz, I see your thumbs up. Beautiful. Just leave a response in the chat. Okay, I also see Idris, please leave a response in the chat. I see Kalu. Kalu, you were here with me earlier. Please leave a response in the chat. Ishmael, also leave a response in the chat. Fiona, leave a response. And then why? Please leave a response in the chat. Just look through what DevOps is about. Okay, fantastic. So when you're done looking through, do you think it's a career path that you would want to consider, Kalu? Just let me know in the chat. Do you think DevOps is one career path that you would love to consider? Just let me know in the chat. Okay. Just to check in with Felix. Hi, Felix. Are we good to go?
Yes, almost done, almost done. Just give me
All right.
2 more minutes. Yeah, I've seen the issue. I used, well, I'll explain it when I'm done fixing it, right? I'll explain it. So it's even going to be a learning case study for us,
All
but
right.
I'll be done shortly. Yeah, just, trying to edit some scripts.
Yeah, fantastic. So, Kalu is saying I may consider that if it appears interesting and challenging, it is challenging and interesting. You can see debugging on the spot. So Felix is debugging on the spot, okay? So that I consider to be very interesting and challenging. All right. So Abdulaziz, good evening. Good to have you here. So just let me know what you hope to get from the session. Okay, even though we've been at it for almost an hour, we're going to be done with the practical session really soon. Okay, as soon as Felix is back on. And for those of us that want to see what it means to become a DevOps engineer, what you need to learn, the skills you need to learn, I'll do justice to that. Okay, so we'll just give Felix a couple more minutes before we get started. Meanwhile, it's not too late to share the link. If you know somebody that is interested in becoming a DevOps engineer, please share the link with them. Let me also pick our brains really. Is there anybody here that thinks DevOps engineering is not how do I put it now? Is there anybody here that thinks to become a DevOps engineer, you already need to be a software developer? If you think that to become a DevOps engineer, you need to be a software developer first, leave a yes in the chat so I meet you. All right. So if you think that to become a DevOps engineer, you need to be a software developer first? Please leave a yes in the chat. Meanwhile, if you don't think that, leave a no in the chat. If you think anybody can become a DevOps engineer with the right training, please leave a no in the chat. Okay. Let's just hear your thought and what you think basically. So if you think anybody can become a DevOps engineer with the right training, you don't need to have gone into software development. Please leave yes or a no in the chat, depending on the category that you fall under. Okay, so Bill says yes. So Bill, fantastic. You think that to become a DevOps engineer, one needs to do software development first. Is that what you think, Bill? Just to confirm, you could just, okay, beautiful. So you think anybody can get into DevOps engineering? Fantastic. With the right training, the right skills, and that is part of what I'll be showing you here today. The right skills you need to get, how you need to learn. Okay. So Carly says no. Most AI tools like VS Code seem to be of great value. Absolutely. All right. So we'll be having really fantastic time, as soon as this practical is done with. Because remember, the focus for us here at Analytics is not just to equip you with the skills alone. All right. We have one thing in mind. For everybody looking to get into DevOps, our thought is, how do we get you from where you are? You could be a complete beginner, a complete novice, like Tolulope, you could be a scrum master, and you're looking, thinking to become a DevOps engineer. How do we get you from that particular position, you know, up until the point where you get a job? So think analytics, think job, right? They're helping me transition so I can get a job. That's one key focus for us here at Analytics. And bearing that in mind, the training has been structured in such a fantastic order. Very beginner friendly. You're not expected to have some form of prerequisite knowledge before you're able to come in and then transition seamlessly. Okay, so looks like we're back on. Hi, Felix, are we back on?
Yes, we are back. We are back. Sorry
All
about
right,
that. And thank you,
no
Priscilla, for
problem.
holding the fort for me. Yeah,
Okay.
so let me go back to sharing my screen and I'll explain exactly what happened and why we had that little issue. Yeah, so did I even stop sharing? I'm not sure. Please, if you can see my screen, I would like to see yes in the chats, please. We are almost done with the practical, so can anyone see my screen, please?
Yeah, so we've got a response in the chat, so we can see it.
Okay, all right, great. So, so this was where we were having the issue, right? So what happened was that when I deployed this before, the security group in the Terraform file in the main.tf that I demonstrated earlier, the security group was created, right? So running the script again was recreating that same security group with the same name. So that was why we were having an error. So it was saying the security group already exists, so it can't recreate it. So it's either I change the name and create a new security group, or I go and delete the already created security group. So I needed to quickly add a script that would delete the existing security group so that the new security group could be created. Right. So that was why it took me quite a while because I was trying to, type some scripts to fix that. I tested it once and I didn't test it again. And unfortunately, I could have caught this if I had tested it a second time. So this is why testing in DevOps is extremely important, right? So I could have almost embarrassed myself on this call, but thank God I was able to fix that. And thank you, Priscilla, for holding it down for me. So as we can see, the three jobs has been completely, it's been fully deployed. So the Terraform on has been completed. Now, building and testing the application has also been completed, right? So building it has been done and deploying it as well to our EC2 instance has also been completed. So, but before we access our application on the internet, I would like to come to our AWS and show us that space that was empty before our EC2 instance. So we should see a machine running here now. We should see. So as you can see, we have DevOps pipeline running. So I did not come here to do this. It was this script, our Terraform script, that did all of that for us, right? So now for us to access our machine, we need to look for our IP address because we are not configuring DNS. We are not configuring DNS. This is just for test. So we need to look for our IP address, but we can come here to get it if you have access to AWS account. So just to use this opportunity to demonstrate AWS for you. So this is our AWS, this is our server. This is the server our application is running on, DevOps pipeline. And then, you know, there are so many things we could do here. There are so many things you could do here. You have the monitoring, security, networking, storage, all of this that I can't go on explaining right now, but let's just access our application over the internet. So if I say HTTP slash slash and I paste our IP, then we should see our application running. So this is the application that was created. This is our motivational quotes, or this is our quotes application is generate quotes. So if I generate a quote, you would see success usually comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. Let's generate another one. Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the greats. Let's generate another one. Technology is the best when it brings people together. So this is how, this is just a quick demonstration. There are so many things we could do with, our DevOps pipeline. There are so many ways to deploy application. You can decide to containerize using Docker and then orchestrating it with Kubernetes. So there are so many things we could have done, right? There are so many things you can do in DevOps. There are so many things. So just to just to explain a bit further. So now we've seen our pipeline, we've seen our application, we've seen the entire process to deploy our application from scratch using scripts to. So if that application that was deployed, if you want to deploy multiple applications, you could do it multiple times using that same script, right? So these are some of the things you can do as a DevOps engineer. So now this question you should ask yourself, is DevOps engineering a great fit for you? Is it a great fit for me? Let's say you are putting yourself in this position and you're asking yourself. So some of the things you should consider to know if it's a great fit for you. You like managing systems. As you can see on our AWS, that machine that our application is running on is a system. Do you like managing system? Is one of the questions you should ask yourself. Enjoy automation and making things run faster. Now, this whole process of our pipeline, if I was going to do it manually, it's going to take longer than it took, right? It's going to take longer than it took. But because all the script has been written, everything happened within 3 to 5 minutes. So do you enjoy automation and making things run faster? Do you love fixing technical problems just like I did right now? I did not see this issue coming up, but I had to be quick and I had to fix it. Would you like to, be in this position where you fix technical problems? You need to ask yourself that. Enjoy teamwork and communication. As a DevOps engineer, you are bridging the gap between developers and the operations team, right? That's where the name comes from, DevOps, development and operations. Now, you would ask yourself, do you like working, with a team? Because you have to work with developers and then you also have to work with operations. So DevOps engineer don't work in silos, right? You work in a team. In fact, the DevOps engineering is the skill that bridges the entire software development. You work with your manager, you work with your QA, you work with your database engineers, you work with every team that's involved in the entire deployment and development process. Are you comfortable with cloud and servers? Just like we have our AWS, this is our cloud server, right? So we have AWS, this is our cloud server. Would you enjoy working with cloud? Do you love managing machines? Do you love, there are so many things to do, basically. I wish I could even start teaching you guys right now, but you would have to join us, to get to that, right? You have to join us to get to that. But there are so many things to learn, so many exciting things about DevOps. DevOps is really, really interesting. You would enjoy working with DevOps. And if you are the type where you have to wake up in the morning, go to work every day, well, good news, DevOps is mostly a remote role. So you don't have to worry about all of that. It's a role where you can be relaxed. In fact, if you've deployed your application, if you've set up your monitoring and everything works well, you could go days without even doing anything. All you have to do is watch and monitor your application on your monitoring logs or on your monitoring dashboard, which is tools like CloudWatch or Grafana, right? So these are some of the things that you should consider if you feel DevOps is for you. And to be sincere, if you get into DevOps, you enjoy working in DevOps, you're definitely going to love it. So the skills you need to become a DevOps engineer. So I'll be handing back to Priscilla to continue from here. She'll be telling you guys some of the skills you need, some of the benefits of being a DevOps engineer and how to actually get started, right? So I'll be handing over to Priscilla. So thank you very much. Priscilla, you can take it over from here.
All right. Please confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, we can, Priscilla.
All right, thank you. So, guys, we've literally seen what it means to deploy an application. Okay. And for those of us that are looking to become DevOps engineers, right? You're interested in DevOps engineering. And I know that the big thing on our minds, usually when we want to start learning something new, is, what are the things that I should concentrate on? What are the important skills that recruiters would require from me? So, this is what I'm about to show you the exact skills that you would need to become a DevOps engineer anywhere, any day, anytime. So, what I want you to do for me while I'm talking through this session is if you've got a question, right? If you have a question, please just leave it in the chat, right? Felix will be there to also take your question. And as soon as I'm done, I would also have a Q&A session. So over to the skills you need to become a DevOps engineer. What we've done here is to break down the skills and how you will get to learn them. Okay, so the first month coming into Tenalytics, the first thing you get to learn is DevOps fundamentals and Linux essentials. So this is where you get to learn what DevOps is. Remember when I was speaking initially, I said we don't assume that you already have some prerequisite knowledge before coming into Tenalytics. We see every single person, even though you may have some knowledge, we see you as a complete beginner. And what that helps us do is it helps us go back to the basics and we start to teach you right from the basics. Okay. So, of course, you learn what DevOps engineering is. All right. And how it is being seen, how it is seen, and why it matters in modern technology. Okay. Then you go into Linux. So, every single DevOps engineer needs to know how to use Linux because most servers run on Linux. So we teach you Linux basics from the commands to file systems to processes. And then we go ahead to teach you how to automate repetitive tasks using shell scripts. Then we go to Git and GitHub. I mean, you've seen what Git looks like. All right. A lot of collaboration. You'll be working with a team, right? A lot of collaboration will take place and you need Git to track all of these changes made to the codes and all of that. Then you go into the continuous integration, continuous delivery foundations. That's what you'll be learning in the second month. Okay, so you get to learn how to, automatically build, test, and deploy applications, all right? So that whenever a new code is pushed, right? Whenever a new code is pushed, you're there, your CI/CD pipeline is there to reduce the error and it just speeds up releases. So that's one thing you'll be learning. You learn how to build pipelines with Jenkins and GitHub Action, also how to also do unit testing and integration test automation. Then you would also learn artifact management. This is in the second month. Then you go into containerization with Docker. All right. Then you learn Kubernetes and cloud deployment. All right. At this point, you're learning the Kubernetes architecture. You're also learning cloud fundamentals, both AWS, GCP for DevOps, right? Then you go into infrastructure as code and monitoring. Okay. And you also go into DevSecOps. Okay. So these are the things that you need to learn. And right here at the bottom of my screen, those are some of the tools that you'll be using coming into Tenalytics. All right. The things you'll need to learn and the tools that you will be using, coming into Tenalytics. All right. So after you've learned all of these things, you're not just stuck on DevOps engineering roles. There are a couple of other roles you can apply for, and I've highlighted them right here on my screen. Okay, so all of the skills you'll be learning here at Analytics, of course, you'll be able to apply to DevOps engineering roles, right? Then you can also apply to DevSecOps engineer, okay, cloud engineer, all right? Then site reliability engineer, Linux administrator, Kubernetes administrator, containers administrator, platform engineer, networks engineer, and so much more. So you see that the skills you're learning are completely relevant. All right. But then one big thing in mind is to get into any of these roles, say you want to become a DevOps engineer or a Linux administrator, the recruiter or the hiring manager will need you to have experience, right? But to have that experience, you need a job to get the experience. So how do you just take care of this roller coaster? Because to apply, they'll need you to have experience, but you don't have a job. So how do you get the experience? This is where your learning journey has to be very strategic. Okay. If you think about it, just flow with me and think about it. So the way that mid-level staff, let's just say in your current workplace, you're a mid-level staff. All right, or you're just starting out. The only way you get promoted, the only way you get to move up the ladder is if you have experience. And think about it, even in the real world settings, in the real work, what gives you the experience? They're the tasks you've worked on, the projects you've worked on. These are what your experiences are hinged on. If you don't work on any task, you don't have experience. If there are no projects to work on, you don't have experience. So what this means is, you know, what gives you experience in any setting, in any situation, are projects, tasks, right? And that means that for you to learn so that you gain experience and then apply to a job, you need to be learning the right way. The mistake that some of us make is to think that, oh, I'm just going to go on YouTube and I'm going to learn. But you're going on YouTube and you're not learning the right way. Okay, you're picking up a lot of things. You check this job description, you see, oh, they require me to use this and all of that. And you're not just being straight and direct and intentional with your learning. Now, the best way to learn if you want to land a job, remember, experience is key, is to learn in a project-based environment. So we've been able to establish a fact that it is project, task that would give you the experience you need in the job. What that means is while you're learning, you have to be working on projects. You have to be gaining experience. And these projects need to speak to the real world setting. So what we do here at Analytics is to ensure that your learning journey is very, very strategic. So we ensure you're learning in a project-based environment, solving problems, deploying applications as a DevOps engineer, right? And the only way you get to learn this is by doing the real work. So you see that you're learning and you're gaining experience while learning. Now, it's not enough to just learn because remember, the focus is to get a job. So if you want to land a job, you have to also showcase your work. All right. You have to also showcase your work. And what we've done here at Analytics is all of the experiences that you're gaining by working on projects, you are able to showcase them in a portfolio. All right. Because you can't just imagine I were to be a recruiter. You can't just tell me, oh, I'm a DevOps engineer. These are the things I've done. I want to see for myself. I want to see what you've done, right? I want to see your thought process. And that's where a portfolio comes in. So you see how intentional this is. If you don't learn in a project-based environment, how would you have a portfolio? How would you have projects to include in your portfolio? So this is the tested and tried way to literally learn if you want to land a job. Okay. Now, it's not just enough to know. Right? It's not just enough to know. You also need to convince the recruiter. You need to convince the hiring manager that you are the best fit. And that is where, we came up with this job equation formula here at Analytics. And what it says is to get that offer that you so desire, you need the technical skills and the employability skills. So the technical skills is you knowing how to do the job, right? The employability skills is you convincing the recruiter. Because a lot of people would post and say that, yes, I also know how to do this thing, but you need to stand out. You need to convince the recruiter, the hiring manager, that you are the best fit. And that's where employability skills, comes in. All right. So how do you stand out? How do you gain these employability skills? All right. How do you convince the recruiter that you are the right fit? What we've done here at Analytics is to give you a high chance, a huge chance by, ensuring that the document that goes ahead of you is properly reviewed and revamped. That is your CV. You know that your CV gets into the door before you do. So what that means is that CV you're sending out needs to speak for you. It needs to do a bit of the convincing. So it has to be properly reviewed and revamped. That is one service you'll be getting here at Analytics. So 2 months into the training, we're doing a standard CV review and revamp. Then we also have LinkedIn optimization because whether you like it or not, LinkedIn is more like you know, your digital footprint, where recruiters will go on there and they're able to literally pick your brain. You say you're a DevOps engineer, but you've literally said nothing around DevOps engineering. Okay, now what we've been able to achieve here at Analytics is you find a lot of our participants getting jobs through LinkedIn. That is because their LinkedIn profiles are properly optimized, right? If you want to get a job via LinkedIn, there are certain strategies. Your profile has to be keyword optimized. It has to carry the right keywords. Okay. Now, what we've been able to achieve here at Analytics when it comes to LinkedIn optimization is such that if a recruiter is looking to fill up a DevOps engineering role in your location and they search for DevOps engineer, your name will be amongst the top search because your profile is properly, optimized. So on your LinkedIn profile, we have certain strategies, keyword optimization, putting your experience there in your LinkedIn profile. Now, because of the way you'll be learning, okay, just flow with me, right? Because of the way you'll be learning by gaining experience, okay, by working on projects, by doing the real work, by building a portfolio, you are able to confidently have on your CV that you have worked for Tenalytics as a consultant, as a DevOps engineering consultant. All right. And what will be in your job description will be the project you've worked on, right? And the impact of these projects. Your LinkedIn profile would also carry that CV. Okay. And then your work experience here at Analytics. Then, of course, we'll teach you how to apply to jobs. Okay. We'll teach you how to apply to jobs, but we don't just stop there. We also go as far as subscribing to premium job, right? So we go as far as subscribing to premium job boards. Please confirm that you can hear me. If you can still hear me, please leave a yes in the chat. Uh, can anybody still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
Yes,
Priscilla.
we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So, can you see my screen?
It's coming up.
How about now?
Yes, it is up now. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. So I was talking about, how you get to stand out in analytics. Okay, so don't tell me you weren't seeing my screen earlier. Dorcas, please, were you seeing my screen right from when I started speaking?
Yeah, I was frozen at how to become a DevOps engineer.
Oh, sorry about that. So, please fill the attendance form, okay, so that you get access to this slide and you're able to just go through every single thing that I've said so far. So, I was talking about employability skills, and navigating the job market really. So, what we do here is we need you to get a better chance. We need you to get a job. So, how do you even begin to apply to jobs? There are certain strategies that you use and we'll teach you here at Analytics. All right. But we don't just stop there. We go as far as subscribing to premium job boards so that apart from the regular ones, you'd have access to Glassdoor, name them, Read.co, LinkedIn. You would also have access to jobs that are not available to the general public, jobs that are paid for. So not a lot of people will access them, right? Because they are paid for, they are premium. But then we go ahead to pay for them and we provide them to you on a weekly basis. If you want to work remotely, just the same way Felix is working remotely as a DevOps engineer, you get those type of jobs there. Remote opportunities, contract-based roles, visa sponsorship roles as well, right? Then we also have interview preparation. So what we do here is you have your CV up to par, your LinkedIn profile properly optimized. You've applied to a job that you found on the Tenalytics job board. Now you have your first interview coming up. Okay. And you don't need to get the jitters because what we do here at Analytics is to prepare you for that interview. How do we go about that? Your job, as soon as you get an interview, is just to book for a prep session. You'd have an expert do their findings on the company that you applied to. We'll do our findings, right? And then we'll take a look at your CV. And based on that, we're able to preempt some of the questions you're going to get. So you have somebody on a call like this preparing you for that interview. How do you introduce yourself as a DevOps engineer? What if they tell you to answer competency-based questions? Okay, how do you do salary negotiation and all of that? So you'll be getting all of that in your interview preparation session. Then we also provide you with job reference letters. Now, remember the way you'll be learning is strategic. And because of that, you're able to have Tenalytics as one of your work experiences on your CV. What that means is recruiters would reach back to us to provide reference letters because you have Tenalytics on your CV. So we're able to provide you with reference letters. All right. So you also have on the job support. So say you get your first job as a DevOps engineer, okay, or even as a cloud engineer or a Linux administrator, right? And then you have a task, but you're not sure how to go about it. You have on the job support here at Analytics. Then we have weekly mentorship sessions, right? Where on a weekly basis, you see people, global recruiters, people that have walked the talk, that have gotten jobs before you. They're coming back to these sessions and they are holding your hands every step of the way. All right, to build your confidence. Okay, you can't walk this journey yourself. You need mentors, right? That's the best way, to thrive in the tech space. And with analytics, you get mentors. Then we also have Upwork optimization. So this is exactly how you stand out. You couple the employability skills alongside these, right? Now, the employability skills will show the recruiter that yes, I know this thing. Your portfolio would confirm that you've done it before. Then the employability skills will convince the recruiter because it's not just enough to know. So your employability skills will convince and tell the recruiter that you are the best fit for that job. So this is how you get to stand out here at Analytics. So all of this that I've been saying to you so far, what is the program duration and timeline? So here at Analytics, we have a 6 month learning in class program. Right? So you'll be learning for 6 months. All of the skills I talked to you about, you'll be learning all of those for 6 months. And then you don't just stop there. To gain more experience, you would also be interning with a sister company, right? Called Amdari. So we partnered with this company and you do your 2 months of internship in the UK, Canada, registered in Canada. By virtue of having Analytics on your CV, if you come across recruiters that are big on Canadian experience, you are able to take care of that. Right? For those of us in Europe, okay, you have Amdavi registered right there in the UK. So for those of us in UK, you come across recruiters that are big on UK-based experience. You're able to have this sorted. Remember, both organizations will be providing you with reference letters. Now, imagine coming from maybe you're a student or even a carer, right? Or, a healthcare assistant or anybody without any experience, and you're looking to get into DevOps engineering. Remember, to get a job, you need experience. Now, Analytics and Amdabi will serve as your work experience. You'd have them on your CV and you're able to confidently defend that any day, anytime, because the job description will be project you worked on yourself, right? And the impact of these projects. So that's what you get for the program duration. 6 months learning, immersive learning, and 2 months of internship. Now, for your learning, we're big on flexibility here at Analytics because we understand that almost everybody looking to transition, they're working professionals already. Sometimes you have multiple shifts that you're trying to keep up with. You have a family. All right. So how do you transition in a very flexible way so that it doesn't distort or it doesn't, mess up your whole schedule, and then transition, it seems like a Herculean task. So what we've done here at Analytics is to ensure that you're learning only on Saturdays. Okay, so we have a blended learning model. On Saturday, you come to a live class like this, where your instructor, somebody like Felix, will take you through the details step by step. But guess what? Out of 4 Saturdays in a month, you only need to come to a live class 2 out of those 4 Saturdays, right? 2 out of 4 Saturdays. And each live class is for 3 hours. So we've made up different time schedules for people in different time zones. So if you're in Europe, UK, Africa, the morning class will be best for you because it is between 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time. If you're in North America, Canada, US, the evening class will be best for you because it is 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But it doesn't matter. If you're in the UK and you have morning shifts and you'd rather attend the evening class, you're free to do that. So you just pick the time that works best for you and you attend your class. Now, alongside this, we have the self-paced, where you get to decide, okay, how long you want to learn, when and how you want to learn. So you could say on Sunday, I have 2 hours to learn, and I prefer to learn between 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. So you gain access to resources, to projects that you can work on at your convenience. Okay, so you do that from Sunday to Friday. You're learning, you're deciding when you want to learn. And like I said, we also have mentorship sessions. So your mentorship sessions happen on Thursdays, 10 p.m. Watts for people in Europe, UK, Africa, and 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for people in Canada and US. Then we have the self-paced class as well, like I earlier mentioned. Now, all the live classes, all the self-paced resources, they're all made available to you and they are all recorded. So you get a lifetime access. Now, DevOps engineering, I think Carlos said he wants to go into something, challenging and interesting. You get to work on tools, you get to debug, you get to write scripts, you get to build pipelines, automate pipelines. Okay. And with the 10 structure, you're learning by doing the real thing. Now, sometimes when you're learning self-paced from Sunday to Friday, you may have technical difficulties. So what we've done is to ensure that you can get real-time support any day of the week. So let's say that you're working self-paced on a Monday, 2 hours in, you figure that you're having maybe an issue with Kubernetes or Jenkins. What you can do is quickly book for a drop-in session and you get to speak to the instructor and have your issue sorted. So we understand how it can be for people just looking to transition for the first time. You're scared, would I get the real-time support? This is completely virtual. We have it all covered here at 10 Analytics. Now to the $1 million question. So you've seen what it means to build and deploy a pipeline. All right. You've also seen the technical skills you need to learn, how you can stand out, how you can convince the recruiter, and you're interested in DevOps engineering. How do you start today? Okay, how do you start today, basically? Now, at this point, I need to be very honest with you. You need to act fast and act smart. That is because you want to get a job, all right? But global hiring don't just happen randomly. Right. Global hiring don't just happen randomly. They run on cycles. All right. So you have January, February as the first cycle, and then you have June, July as the second cycle. So you need to be very strategic if you're looking to get a job as a DevOps engineer. Now, you've passed the first cycle, but that's not bad because you have the second cycle to prepare for. So what that means is you have to prepare against June and July. Right? And the best way to prepare is to get started as soon as possible. The best way for you to prepare is to join our next cohort, which begins on the 7th of March. You have all the details you need, the technical skills, the employability skills. The next thing you want to do for yourself is to act really smart, which is by joining our next cohort, which begins on the 7th of March. Now, what would it cost you to join the next cohort? The cost of the training here at Analytics is $1,250. All right, that is the cost of the training. But guess what? We have a 20% discount for every single person on this call. Okay, so with this 20% discount, instead of paying $1,250, you will be required to pay only $1,000. And to the most interesting and juicy part, right? You see that $1,000, you can pay as much as 5 times. So you don't need to have the entire thing. Right? All you need to do is if you have $200, right, you are able to take advantage of this discount. All right. Now, just like every discount, this comes with condition. The next cohort begins on the 7th of March, and this is an early bird discount. So we only opened up 20 slots. Right? We only opened up 20 slots. Right now, 15 people have been able to take advantage ahead of the class that begins on the 7th of March. And we only have 5 slots left. We're 13 of us on this call. So if we get 5 people to pay, right? If you're going to be the 6th person, you would now end up paying $1,250 instead of a total of $1,000. But that's not all I have for you today. I have something called the front of the line offer. Now, we have 5 slots left, quite all right. But then if you are able to register today, okay, you're doing something called skipping to the front of the line. If you're able to register today, okay, you get access to the founder circle. Now, the founder circle is a very small cycle made up of, very, very limited number of participants. And what they do is to interact with the founders of both the company you'll be doing your internship with and Tenalytics. So you're interacting with them. And what is your interaction about? What they would do is to, speak to you, and then they chart a tailored roadmap for you. right? So they're able to have discussions, chart a tailored roadmap to suit your situation. Oh, by the third month, this is where you need to be. This is what you need to look at. So you already have a team, which is the founder of both companies charting a roadmap to you, right? They also give you tailored jobs that you can start to apply to. It's not everybody that gets this. So for people that would be paying tomorrow, you don't get access to this. All right. So if you want to get the front of the light offer, you have to register today. Now, you don't just get the founder circle. Okay. You also get access to weekly mentorship and you get immediate access to it. So for people that will just be registering, your mentorship starts after the program begins. But if you're able to take advantage of this front of the line offer, you start getting your mentorship before the program begins. And through this mentorship, you gain access to industry experts, right? You gain insight into the UK, Canada, US job market. Okay. And then you also gain access to interview simulation sessions. Now, in these sessions, you literally get interviewed. You see what it means to be interviewed as a DevOps engineer. And the purpose of this is to build your confidence. So you know the questions that are expected of you, right? And then you also get access to an alternative UK visa pathway, right? Now, this UK visa path visa. So this and now reference is for you. So the okay.
Hello everyone, please let's be patient. You'll be joining us back soon. All right, everyone. So while we wait for Priscilla to come back, if you have any questions, do also drop it in the chat box so that we could address it accordingly before she joins us back and proceeds with the session. If you have any question, but even before we take questions, are we enjoying the session so far? If you're enjoying the session, can you give me a one in the chat box? Okay, let me turn on my just give me a second. Hello, everyone. So if you be enjoying the session so far, let's drop your one in the chat box. If you've been enjoying the session so far, let's do also drop one in the chat box. Are we all here? Are we all here? Oluwaseun from the shop one. Any other person? Let's communicate. Let's communicate. Let's drop a reaction in the chat box. Are we here? Hi, Chris. Hi, Adora. Hi, Fiona. Hi, Ishmael. Are we all here? Hi, Chima. All right, Chima. Thank you very much for your response. All right. Do you have any questions you would like to address before she comes off, before she joins us back? Does anyone have any question that they would love us to address before she joins the session? So it's only Chima that is here. Wow. Let's do well to communicate there. It's only Chima that we have here. So okay, are we saying we understand all that has been said so far? Are we here? Oh my God. All right. All right. Um, all right, Priscilla is back. So she'll be taking up from here. Hi, Priscilla. Kindly confirm that you are with me.
Yeah, can you hear me? My
Yes, I
sincere
can hear you.
apologies. Guys, please, if you can hear me, if you're still here, please leave a yes so that we can quickly wrap up the session. Okay, if you're still here, do leave a yes so that we get to wrap up and, call it a day. Okay, if you're still very much here, I would need you to leave a response. Super sorry about that. I had a technical glitch. So please leave a yes if you can still hear me. Hi, Dorcas, just to confirm. Okay, Dorcas, thank you. Is anybody else still here? Let me look through the chat. So I see Adora, Chima, Felix, yeah, Ishmael, Fiona, Chris. Okay, so I'm just gonna wrap up this really, really quickly. Okay. So I'm pretty sure my colleagues must have shared the link, to the registration platform and how you can take advantage of the front of the line offer. Okay, so this offer says that you get access to the founders, you also get access to a lifetime career support, you get access to mentorship if you are able to take advantage, tonight. Now, to take advantage, you need to click on the link that is being shared in the chat, the links that my colleague has shared, and then just scroll down. You'd see the various courses we offer here at Analytics. What you want to do is scroll down, and look for DevOps engineering. That's the course you're interested in. That's the path you are interested in. So you want to go to DevOps engineering, okay, and you see it just here. So click on Buy Now. All right, click on buy now as soon as you get here, and it would open up this page to you. So right here, you see enroll now. And when you tap on that, it will prompt you to create an account. So you can create an account easily in less than a minute. Your first name, your last name, your full name, email address. Now, it brings you to this confirm your enrollment page, and you'd see the cohorts that we have starting out. We have the March cohort and the April cohort. So if you want to get started right away, you want to become a DevOps engineer, you want to prepare for the next, hiring cycle, you need to get started with the March cohort. If March is too busy for you, you can consider the April cohort, but the discount and the front of the line offer applies to both of them. So for sake of example, I'm going to use the March cohort, and then scroll down, you see the various payment plans we have in place. So we have the full payment, we have the smart choice, and we also have the flexible choice. Now, remember I said a 20% discount where instead of $1,250, you'll be paying $1,000. Guess what? If you want to pay once, if you want to make full-time payment, you get a 32% discount. Instead of paying $1,250, you'll be paying $850. That's you saving $400. That is if you're looking to pay once. Then we also have the smart choice, which will be you paying twice. Now, with this, you get to save $350. So you're paying a total of $900. You split that into two, you get started with the first $450, and you're able to complete the next payment. Okay? We also have the flexible choice. Now, with the flexible choice, instead of paying $1,350, you get to pay $1,000, and you're able to split that as many as 5 times. What that means is, Priscilla, I want to get started in DevOps engineering, right? And I want to start with the March course, but I don't even have $850. I don't have $900. I have $200. Now, out of $1,000, you're able to start with that. And with this, you keep paying $200 every month. By the fifth month, you complete your payment. So hit on the choice that works best for you, the payment plan that works best for you, and click on apply discount. All right. Now, when you click on apply discount, it applies the discount to you, and you're able to come to this page where you do the final confirmation. Now, I clicked on the 5 installments, right? Now, here is the payment breakdown. Okay. So if you're able to secure a spot today, the next time your payment will be due will be on the 26th of March. And then you have April, you have May, and you have June. Now, if you pay today, the 26th of February, and then the next time your payment will be coming in will not be 26th of February, but rather the first of the following month, or few days after 26th, you're able to edit your next payment date. So we're very big on flexibility here at Analytics. So look through the payment date, scroll down, check the box that says I confirm my information is correct. Also check the box that says I have read the terms and conditions, and go ahead to pay. All right. So really, really easy, simple. You can just follow the link in the chat, right? And you're able to take advantage of the discounts. Okay. Now, remember, we only have 5 slots left. But tonight, if we're able to, get 5 people to pay, the front of the line offer is off the table. Okay. You cannot afford to wait, like I said. If the focus is for you to get a job, the time is now. You need to start in March, or you need to start in April. While you're reading this, other people are moving ahead with the priority access, getting a roadmap charted, getting access to mentorship. Okay, these are things most people wait 3 months to get, but this window closes tonight. So if you're interested, you need to take advantage as soon as you can. So that being said, I'd want to take your questions at this point. So if you've got a question, please leave that in the chat, right? Or you want to unmute your mic so we can take your questions, feel free, leave that in the chat, so that I spend the next 2 minutes taking your questions, and we're able to bring the session to a close. So do we have any questions? So I'd just like to call your name, Adora, Chris, Ishmael, Fiona. Do you have any questions before we bring the session to a close? Just go ahead, put it in the chat, okay? Any questions? So we've got 1 more minute to spend on the call. Okay, just leave a question in the chat if you've got any. All right. So I'm not seeing any question in the chat. I take it that nobody has a question. Okay, so I'll urge you, get started with your journey as soon as you can, because you need to act fast and act smart. So that being said, we'll bring the session to a close. Now, if you've got more questions, or if you're trying to figure out the right career path for you, you're not pretty sure about DevOps, what you want to do is, book for a clarity session where you get somebody speak to you and help you discover the best path for you. But that being said, we'll be bringing the session to a close at this point. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed the practical bit, and I also hope you enjoyed the other half of the session. So bring the session to a close. Thank you for joining in. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers and bye for now. Thank you, Felix, for a fantastic session. Okay.